I think the colours work well. Blue and orange again, complementary. Blue and yellow again do work well as colours. So if I go on to the next one, that's another drawing, which again just is another link to my project, and I believe it's very visually pleasing. Another drawing, and then this is where I've included my daguerreotypes. So if you can see these, this kind of circle format and these really nice borders, and these are the textures that I've been using, not just these specifically, I've used many other ones. And I think daguerreotypes is an important thing to include because I've been using them. They also are a very old process of photography, and in my work, as I've always been saying, I'm really trying to make that antique feel, the very vintage, old, aged style work. So then I've looked at Craig Ward, and his typography is fantastic. I love this, this design. And although I need a bit of annotation for him, I looked at him because I'm later on in my project going to experiment with typography and how typography and image, work together. Just as infographics, you need a bit of typography and a bit of image for the portrayal to work well. So I've walked around college and just taken some pictures of textures, because if you look in his background, you can see that they're not necessarily just a white background made on Photoshop or Illustrator. They look like they're a picture or something, and then the text is overlaid on the top. So I've taken some pictures, and then I went into Photoshop and just experimented with the levels, just so I can get this plain white background but textured. And then now I'm going to play with some wordplay. So as I've been saying, I'm challenging the viewer of what they think's true or not. So words like believe contain the word lie, and intimacy, into me, I see. So you're looking at yourself, reflecting. Life, there's I in life, so it's focus on the one person in life. God, dog, dogma. Maybe it's not good to have God and dog together, but it's just wordplay. Not necessarily going to experiment with. I'm going to experiment with them all, but maybe just one of them will be the focal point later on. And Nowhere to Now Here, I've also got from another movie called The Love Guru, and I thought it was a good bit of wordplay. And then these is just some quotes that I found, just inspirational. Some of them just good to play around with, as typography later linked with image. So I've played around with believe, and I've tried to put the emphasis on the lie. And I've also made a GIF that's on my blog. This is the kind of one direction, so not one direction of the band, the direction one of where I'm going to go with this. So this is the typography part. And it's a matter of playing around, seeing what I can kind of conjure up, just the style, really trying to get the ball rolling with the visuals of everything, because I think, I hear all the time people say, the concept's important, and of course the concept's important to a certain extent, but I believe that imagery is very important, maybe more important than the concept, because words are in their own league, and imagery is in its own league as well. Imagery is almost like words, but in the form of image. So I think and that's what appeals. That's what draws you in. You won't be drawn in by a very crappy design, but then if you read into the concept and you like the concept, but the design doesn't portray the concept well, what are you going to do? So these worked well. These are directly inspired from Craig Ward, so use the background that I've used, and then if you go in Photoshop, double click, you can remove some of the layers to expose almost like 3D style effects. So that's what I've done here, and then you see the image in the background coming through, the text in the background coming through. So that's what I've done in here, and this is believe and then lie. So it's two contrasting words, because believe and then lie, it's the opposite ends. So Nowhere, Now Here. Again, just playing around with text, directly inspired by Craig Ward. God, dog, dogma. It's not necessarily the best wordplay, but for this one particularly, but it's just a matter of playing around, you know, and seeing what you can play with. Into Me I See, that was maybe a good one, but not my favourite. I think the Believe lies the main one I'm focused with. Then Life, I in Life, you know. So next, Direction 2 is all about the text playing around with the imagery, and as you can see here, I've used Believe, and then Lie, and this is the drawing I did on Illustrator, and then I've taken it in to use, you know, the eye in the hand. It's almost like, you know, the third eye, all about in the land of the blind, the third-eyed man is king. So I'm looking at that. So it's almost just talking about wisdom and asking people whether they will experiment, not experiment, to question what they're viewing all the time, what they're faced and proposed with. And then this is a piece of glass work that I've made. I went and done this at a workshop, and it's carrying the third eye and the design with the colour and, you know, the mixing around with different coloured glass. Again, as I always say with colour, you know, it's a very important aspect of my work, I believe. And this was very successful. Sadly, I'm in the room filming. Otherwise, I would go get it for you, and you could have a look. So these are different variations, playing around with just the hand and seeing if maybe duplicating it and having two hands in maybe strengthens the image, plays around with the text. But this didn't really work well. It's not interacting with the text. It's not really a successful poster, although this kind of colour's nice and it looks visually maybe attractive, but it doesn't really portray anything that this project wants. And then this is where I feel one of the posters I've made which is really successful, but sadly the printer makes these images look really dull, and some of the colours don't come out right and it doesn't look nice. So on my blog, that's where I've posted the JPEGs, and you can see the colours in the digital format for what they are and not printed out. Maybe if I printed them out on photo paper they would look a lot nicer, but I can't afford it really, so this is going to have to do, and anyone that wants to see them for what they really are, they can go on my blog, which it's a Tumblr blog. So here I'm documenting the changes I'm doing to build up to the final, maybe, or the two final styled posters I'm doing. So again, just another recycled image that I did of my tutor in the earlier project, in the earlier concepts, playing around with text, and I feel like this is a lot more successful. That the image is interacting with the text, and that's really important, I think, in graphics work. And then, again, just a couple more designs, and this is where I'm getting closer to the final piece. Now, the hand is actually not that blue; it's more of a turquoise blue, and this triangle in the background is actually a lot of a nicer, brighter pink. And that's all about, you know, the Illuminati, the eye, you know, the eye that's can see past, you know, the first, or the prominent two eyes, you know. It's really just all that pseudo style that I'm hoping to achieve. I feel this is very successful. You know, it's very graphic based, obviously, and the text is interacting with the image very well, which I'm pleased with. And then this is a further designed one with the daguerreotype over the top, and this is probably my most favourite. And I've also made a little kind of logo on the bottom, which is quite small, maybe not always easy to see. There was actually two. There was the blind, the third. So in the land of the blind, the third-eyed man is king, and there was two there's there, and it kind of didn't look right. So I had to change the text to a different font, just so that I could have these two the's without clashing with each other. So that was really important, which I managed to do, and it worked well. And then there's another thing I need to print out, which is exclusive. And then now I'm going back to what I originally did, which was the raygrams, because the raygrams to me were the most successful thing I'd done. They were really carried that antique, as I keep saying, you know, very original, very old, aged feel to it. And that's what I really wanted from my work. So after creating the designs, and it's nice to see some of them in colour, but also, you know, I wanted to take them in and make them old again. So these are the acetate pieces that I've made, and I have inverted them, put them in black and white. So when I expose them on the photo paper in the darkroom, they come out the right way around, so the colours in the right place. You know, if I had them in the normally, then this would be black and this would be white, and maybe you wouldn't see the text and so on. So, you know, you kind of have to get your head around which way you need to invert or leave the image. And these are successful. There's not much too much to say about it, but I'm very successful, very pleased with the outcomes, and they all work well. And I was actually going to do a big long picture frame with all of them in, so it's almost, this would be the top, and then in the land of the blind, the third-eyed man is king. So it's like almost like, you know, the introduction to the series, and then you have some true facts, some pseudo facts, you know, some future facts. So you're taking a little taster out of everything I've done so far, and then producing a final resolution with it all. And then I've also made a gift based on the Museum of Godly Virtues. So I've taken some of the designs I've made, and I've actually made a GIF. So there's two designs that aren't moving, they're still images, but then it was a very tedious process. But I made a GIF of my tutor kind of expanding and coming closer together, so it really represents you know, the blurring of the fiction and reality, and maybe making you think deeper about what it stands for. So this is the GIF I've made, and then this is the image that I use to make the GIFs and superimpose the images on. And then for my next piece, I'm going to take it into Premiere Pro, although there's nothing here. I'm taking all my GIFs into Premiere Pro, and I'm going to make maybe a minute-long video incorporating all my GIFs, maybe some of the images that I'm pleased with some music. And it's almost like a showcase of my work as if it was in a museum. So you're placing these objects in the museum because they demand respect from the viewer. They're aged, they're old, you know, one of a kind. So you need to be careful and have respect for them, and that's what it's all about. So next I need to just do an evaluation, then I'm pretty much done. Thank you for your time, and enjoy, Mr. Robbo.